Today I'd like to talk about this Acer C710-2847, but also talk a little bit about the Chrome OS operating system it uses and Chromebooks overall. But let's start with the Acer C710 here. Again, this is Acer C710-2847. It's one of the several Chromebooks that are out, and you can find this one at Best Buy. It averages around $199 in price. And it has an 11.6-inch display. It's 1366 by 768 resolution. There's a 320 gigabyte hard drive and a Celeron 1.2 gigahertz processor plus 2 gigabytes of DDR3 memory. There's also built-in Wi-Fi, BGN, and a couple of other things. Like for instance, on the port-wise, you've got your 10100 Ethernet here. There's a VGA next to it, fan slot, full-size HDMI for outputting to a display, one USB 2.0 port. Come to the other side, we have our headphone jack, two more USB 2.0 ports, our AC adapter connection, and a Kensington lock switch. On the back is our battery. On the bottom is a panel. This whole panel comes out. You can upgrade that 2 gigabytes of DDR3 memory to 4 gigs. And that's pretty much the overall specs of the Acer C710. Now the specs are similar to the Samsung 11.6-inch model they got, but it is a 16 gigabyte SSD that they have in that model. There's also Bluetooth in the Samsung model. This does not have Bluetooth enabled. Now I say enabled. I'll get to a little bit later why that is. But talking about the Chromebooks in general, you've also got HP's 11 and 14-inch Chromebook models that are similar in specs to the Acer here, but then again, they do have different screen sizes. Those also have Bluetooth like the Samsung, and the 14 model has a 14-inch display. Then you get up to Google's Chromebook Pixel, which is a $1,200 machine. You have the 14-inch Full HD display on that, a full-size backlit keyboard, and a couple of other performance upgrades in terms of processor and memory. But most of your Chromebooks will average $199 to $299, so the Chromebook Pixel is way out there compared to your average Chromebook. Now, when you get a Chromebook, it'll be like this, and there won't be too much stuff with it. You usually just get the unit, maybe your charger, and the small instruction pamphlet. Because what the Chromebooks are designed to do is they're meant to run on the cloud service. Basically, their device is explicitly intended to be used on the internet. And with the cloud, you store your files and data on the cloud, and then you've also got the tools on the cloud, like word processing, presentation, and spreadsheet tools. You've got all your resources right there to work and manipulate your files, and it's all done through the internet online there. So basically, your Chromebook kind of acts like a hub to access the cloud. And then, of course, the cloud is on the internet. You can do it anywhere as long as you've got an internet connection. Now, when you first open up your Chromebook, they're designed to automatically power on because you want to get on the internet and get to your work quickly. That's how the whole Chromebook thing works. Now, when you first open it up, when you buy it, you'll be presented with a screen like this. And this is basically just asking for setting up the language, setting up the keyboard, and also selecting a network to connect to. I'm going to connect to a network here. I need to give it a little bit of time to discover networks first because it thinks there's no networks available right now. So get one come up here. There it is. And they do have dual band Wi-Fi on the Chromebook, so if you got a 2.4 gigahertz network or a 5 gigahertz network, you can connect to either one of those with a Chromebook. They do use dual band Wi-Fi, and that's mainly because of the Intel chipset that they use. So we'll connect to the 5 gigahertz one here, and it wants a password. Make sure it connects first. Back up. Okay, and we're connected to our 5 gigahertz network. You just click on continue. And there's the Google's Chrome OS terms of service. Of course, you can send that if you want to. And then what you got to do is you got to sign into your Google account, because again, Google provides these, so they primarily work through Google's services. So let me get that set up. Okay. Here's my account picture. That should look familiar if you've seen the channel. And now we're in. Of course, he'll give you this little startup thing. And of course, it'll start with all the icons. You've got things over here for looking at the clock, adjusting your settings, adjusting the volume, seeing your battery life, and of course your currently signed in account. You do have Chrome specific shortcut keys on the keyboard here. You have a back and forward button, a refresh button. There's a button for making the Chrome browser full screen. You've got one for switching the output displays from the LCD to the VGA and HDMI. You've got controls for adjusting levels of brightness. Again, there's controls here for muting the audio, decreasing, increasing the volume, and also turning on and off the Wi-Fi. And we've already got some icons down here. We've got Google Plays Music, Google Slides, Google Sheets, and Google Docs. That's basically Google's online office suite. Gmail's next to there, and then you've got your Google Chrome right there. And that's what primarily Google's Chrome OS operates through, is the Chrome browser. And while you can put apps on it, the apps aren't actually stored on the computer. The apps are still through the cloud, but it gives you quick access to them. In fact, it should have synced them up here. These are apps that I've already been using. For instance, I put like the Weather Channel app on here, Facebook, Pandora, eBay, things like that. But if I go to them, it just basically uses the Chrome browser and then goes to a Chrome version of that page. Because, for instance, this eBay page is different from the normal ebay.com page you'd go to in your web browser. They try to optimize it a little bit in Chrome there, but again, the apps are done through the cloud. They're not actually on the computer. Now, when you are done using Chrome, there's a couple of ways. You can just close up the computer. That'll automatically put it in standby. If you choose to shut down the computer, all you basically do is just hold down the power button if you want to turn it off. Otherwise, it will always go to sleep. Now, there are some Chrome OS specific things you can do with the mouse. For instance, tapping with 2 fingers brings up a right-click menu. You can also hold 1 finger and then click, and that will also bring up the right-click menu. Now, for instance, there are some things you can do with the Chrome browser concerning going back and forward instead of using the keys are the buttons. If you bring, because you can scroll horizontally with 2 fingers going like this, and of course 2 fingers going vertically allows you to do vertical scrolling. If I bring the cursor to the edge of the screen and try to scroll horizontally, I can actually bring up where I'm supposed to there. Yeah, I was just trying to do it there. If I can get it to come up. You can see it kind of. See if I can get it to do it here. Yeah, you can. It's trying to do it. It's just the full screen window is interfering with it. There we go. So I can go back a page. I can swipe the other way. Go back forward to that page. So it gives you some gestures for moving and navigating through the Chrome browser with Chrome OS. And again, that's pretty much all it is. Again, all Chrome OS basically gives a small platform on the Chromebooks to let you use cloud-based services. And if I just want to turn off, hold the button, and it'll turn off. Now, if I held that down and then released it when the icon popped up, that would basically just be equivalent to locking the Chromebook or logging out of your account. But again, that's the Acer C710-2847 and Chrome OS and Chromebooks.